Bryan Danielson against Little Brutus of the Dork Order. And again, the guys, he's from Long Island, and Danielson's kicking the shit out of all the Dork Order people to get ready for Page, and I understand the story. And I knew that this was going to be a clinic by Bryan Danielson on how to do anything that he did, whether it be a heel or just work in general or get a point across or get another guy elevated. But it was also going to be a match that nobody cared about, nor will they remember tomorrow, except if we're talking about it. And I kind of watched some of this, and then I zoned out because I was so ready for this thing to be over at this point. And obviously, Danielson won and then started getting heat afterwards, and Page made the save. If anybody was still watching, do we have ratings yet? Or are we...
I just saw them before.
Too quick a turnaround.
Let me pull them up. I did see that they are out, but I don't have them in front of me. I'll get them right now.
If any show deserved to start with a strong rating and bottom out and crater out by the end of the thing, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have hung around to see Bryan Danielson, but if they were tough enough and hardy enough to sit through the last hour and a half of this show to see Danielson's match, that's a tough breed right there. I don't know that, that Danielson being in the main event was a favor to anybody here, because you literally had to make the effort to say, I don't care how bad this gets. I'm going to wait till the end of it because I want to see Danielson.
872,000 viewers.
Is there any breakdown as to whether they started stronger and ended weaker, or we just got...
That's the total. Let me get the breakdowns while you continue to talk.
Well, and I won't continue to talk too much longer, but 872,000. 800 and something thousand. We've said it, and I'll repeat it. They get up to 1.2 million when they have a big debut or a sought-after moment, such as CM Punk returning to wrestling. And within a few weeks or a month, they go back down to, or the hot shot match or the football field fuckery or whatever they do. They get up to 1.2, and within a month, they've dropped back to 800 and something thousand, because that's the amount of people that are going to watch AEW television, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. That's just the way it is. All things being equal, not against the Super Bowl or not on an off night, but just on a regular Wednesday night. That's what they're going to get. And the other people are the people that tune in to see somebody they know that they've wanted to see, that they're aware of. And obviously, they're not going to be disappointed in them, but they're disappointed in the rest of the show, because it's suddenly, instead of just silliness with kids playing, it's even more infuriating, because now they've got real quality talent, and you get some good segments, and then they put the kids on again, and it stinks the show up and runs off the people they just got. What's the breakdown?
Here are the breakdowns for the 8 quarters. The first segment, which was the CM Punk interview, 922,000 viewers.
Okay.
The second segment, which would have been the Battle Royal, 980,000 viewers.
Wow. So everybody called, said Punk's on and MJF's coming, and boy, this thing's cooking.
The third segment, which would have been the 8-man tag match, 864,000 viewers.
There you go, because they went from stars to who the fuck are these people?
The next segment, which was the start of the Bucks versus Best Friends, did 866,000. And the next segment, which was the conclusion of that match, and then I think the women's promo, 893,000. The sixth quarter of the show, which would have been the Cody Rhodes confrontation segment and Riho's match, 823,000. And
we're headed south.
The seventh quarter, which was the conclusion of that match, and Malachi Black's total destruction through Vanishing Mist of the Varsity Blondes, 812,000.
Ooh.
And the final segment, which would have been the main event, Bryan Danielson versus the Dark Order guy, 814,000.
Jesus. So basically, by the time that the people had to sit through all that other shit. Bryan Danielson's segment got 2,000 viewers more than the fucking Varsity Blondes getting Missing Missed. That, there you go. 814 from 9. What was the first segment? 960 something?
The first segment was 922, but then it peaked in the second segment, 980.
Okay, they lost between 100 and 150,000 people from the first 30 minutes to the last 15 minutes.
It really seems like following the Battle Royal, which again was following the Punk segment, 'cause you had MJF there.
Yeah.
Following that with the 8-man tag just caused enough people to turn off the channel and not come back.
They still lost a few more after the Bucks.
See, that's part of the problem, though. They did, but you know what? When you see Punk in the opening segment, you know you're not going to see him again the rest of the show. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason. If you've seen that, okay, I could turn off the TV. The CM Punk segment is done for tonight. If you're into Sting and Darby and you see them in their segment...
Well, now, he did come out and help briefly later on, but still, I know what you mean.
But it's part of the same... The Battle Royal to me is part 2 of the Punk interview because it leads to the MJF Punk stuff. But the rest of the show, it's like once you see your guy, it's never, like we said last time, it's never, what will Stone Cold do later in the show? He's not here. We know he's in the area. He will be here. You don't have to go that far. But it's like, CM Punk is here, and he was here, and now we're going to move on.
Well, we said that's one thing that Vince McMahon insisted on was the thread through the show. In the glory days of Raw, when there were 5, 6, 7, 8 million people, whatever the fuck it was, you saw your main event guys at the start, and there was reason to believe from what happened that you would see one or more of them interact again, whether it be in the main event match or whether it be something else that would happen later on in the show. There was some thread to get you to stick with it and sit through the Kaientai match. And all these are standalone segments because you've got the quality talent, obviously, and they should be, like Danielson, Punk, MJF. You've got them obviously kind of running their segments because they're all good. And then you got the guys like the Puddin' Gang that are probably running all their segments because they're rotten. And there's no thread running through the shows other than ones that the announcers make up on their own as they go. But you're a very good point. If there was thought that you would see CM Punk again, or that something would happen to CM Punk, or that something would happen to somebody that CM Punk would have something to say about, or whatever, you could hang through some of this dreck in the middle a little more palatably.
And it doesn't just have to be Punk, but when all of a sudden at the end of the show, after you get 30 minutes of good stuff and then a lot of bad shit, now you're supposed to wait around and see Bryan Danielson. You haven't seen him the entire show, and now he's going to come out there and wrestle against someone who you know he's going to destroy. So the only draw of the match is to see him kick this guy's face in. If you still lasted throughout this whole show. And
yes,
that's the problem.
And then you will see him get heat after, and then you will see his opponent, in this case Paige, make a save, but you won't see anything resolved between them.
But there's nothing throughout the show. Bryan Danielson in the main event. Bryan Danielson just did an interview. We're going to play this while we're watching this match because no one cares about this match and our commentary sucks. Let's hear this audio right now. Oh, that's what he said. Things are never like happening throughout the show.
Either that or Danielson in the opening part of the show says, I'm going to kick the fucking teeth out of this fucking clown like I did out of Colt Cabana's mouth a couple of weeks ago. And then at the top of the 9 o'clock hour, Adam Page says, well, you know what? I want to get a good sight of that. I want to get a good look at it, so I'm going to be at ringside. I'm not going to manage the guy. I'm just going to sit in the front row next to my favorite rat Ethel and drink some beer and watch this match. I'm not going to get involved. I promise. Shit like that.
And boy, have they made me not care at all about Adam Page. That wore off quickly. It was the celebration at home, and then he's the champion? Really?
Yeah. He's an afterthought. Because they're not going to go out and let him do. He had that one interview where he came off like a man and real and likable and all that stuff. And the rest of the time, he's hanging around with the Dork Order and running in and chasing people off.
Did we actually review the match or did we just talk ratings?
Well, I forgot to pay any fucking attention to the match at that point because I was getting tired. So that's pretty. I mean, it's Danielson's great.